All right, we are live on YouTube. It is the 200th episode of the Mina's House podcast. Yes! Woo woo! We made it to 200. A lot of podcasts don't make it to 200. We here, baby. We made it. I'm Mina SayWhat.
I'm Shana B.
I want some crack.
We got a crackhead joining us.
I want some crack.
Crackhead, what is your name, crackhead?
Well, it's not Garnett. but yeah, it's Garnett. Take good, baby. Take good, baby. Oh.
And we don't know where Dexter's at. You know he a teacher now. So
he's calling that man a teacher.
He's going to be joining us shortly. He's logging on now. So it's the 200th episode, and it just happens to be Halloween week. So we are dressed up. Woo, woo. Woo, woo. So I'm Lola Bunny. I got my costume from Fashion Nova, and I regret it. I should have known better than to get my costume from Fashion Nova. Half of it don't fit me. Okay. So I had to cut it up and make it work. But I am Lola Bunny from Space Jam 2, and I got my basketball. We playing basketball.
Hey.
How about you, Shana?
I am Patra, queen of the pop.
That's right, baby. You got to get your winded up on you got to sing your song. Go ahead.
Have Ivy Park, but we have Ivy Park down in
Garnett, what are you for Halloween?
Tyrone Biggums from the Chappelle Show.
The crackhead?
Yeah, he was selling houses and everything.
Really?
Yeah, he was selling houses.
So he was supposed to be house sitting, right? So he was house sitting for this married couple, and he actually sold a house while he was house sitting. He sold it for $500,000, and then he had a $500,000 free crack party. So he's mad innovative. He's the guy.
So
I see how that parallel with your job now. So he was selling the houses. I get it.
You understand?
Are you selling crack too, or just houses?
No, stop saying that. Don't say that out loud no more. Don't do it.
How'd you get the white stuff around your mouth?
Right.
This is baby powder, baby.
You put baby powder?
Yeah, I'm not eating it. Be very careful with this.
And Dexter is joining us, the teacher. Hi, Dexter.
Yeah, that's what he is, a teacher today. I had this idea for an amazing costume today, and I'm going to do it as soon as I get out of work. And I had 20 minutes, right? And I ran to Target to get this stuff. There's nothing on the shelves anywhere. There's nothing on the shelves. And it was just the makeup or whatever, but that's it. And I'm like, but the costume I was going to do is a red flag, and I was going to make a face cutout, and I was going to put red flags on the shirt. And because I don't get to work from home anymore, I didn't get to do my damn costume.
I told you to just be a wrestler and come shirtless.
I can take this off.
Wildin'.
With the little tighty whitey shorts that they be wearing.
Speaking of wrestler, though, there was a big Impact event this past weekend, and Moose is now a world champion.
What? My Moose?
Mm-hmm.
Yay! Congratulations to Moose. He's been a guest on the pod. I went to college with Moose. So wasn't he a world champion already, though?
He was before, yes, but he just won it back.
I saw that picture. I didn't even read the caption. That's terrible. So it's our 200th episode. I can't even believe we made it to 200. Especially on Halloween. We're all dressed up. Dexter's a teacher. Garnett's a crackhead that sells houses. Shana's Patra, she'd be winding it up. And I'm Lola Bunny from Space Jam.
I feel like you win. Yours is the best one.
She got the basketball, everything.
I actually bought my costume, but unfortunately it doesn't fit me because Fashion Nova sucks. And their return policy is terrible. So I've been cutting it up and trying to sew it together. I'm over here like a seamstress trying to make it work. So half of my costume is sewed up. and the other half is not.
But the fact that the skin tone matches the character, I'm into it.
Oh, because I went to Puerto Rico and I got a little tan. So I got the bang too to match it. Do you see?
You was out there trying to flourish in Puerto Rico. We saw you.
I'm sorry. Are you eating powdered donuts too to like make it more powdery?
Nah, these is like crack chips. This is like Crips.
I want the powder off the face though. It makes me a little nervous.
I'm gonna be adding more throughout this. This is now.
Committed. I love it.
I'm eating chips throughout this whole thing.
So for people listening, you can look at us and watch us on YouTube. Just search Mina's House Podcast, because we have a lot of people who listen on the different listening streaming platforms. So we have a couple of guests joining us, hopefully, for the pod. So hopefully they all drop in at some point. But it is our 200th episode. It's incredible. I just wanted to thank you guys for being a part of the pod. And I appreciate your effort every week, and just thank you for always showing up and being ready. Do you guys have like a moment for the podcast where you it was like your favorite moment? I know I'm like springing it on you, but
I don't have necessarily a favorite moment. I do have like memorable moments of like me fucking Ubering up to Power 99 and like sitting there for hours and us like going through things and booking guests. I remember one. The very first guest that I helped you book, right? That she was like, hey, listen, be a part of my podcast, was Kaylani. And I remember her coming through with her and her management. I forget the guy's name, but he's actually from Jersey. Shout out to him. It
was Kaylani. I forgot. This is before Kaylani became Kaylani.
Right. This was actually like at the Kyrie Irving stuff. And we not to like impede on that. And we did it, we kept it professional. Mina's always super professional. But she was just so sweet, very gorgeous, by the way, and taller than I thought she was gonna be. But yeah, she is a gorgeous person. But yeah, I remember like that moment, those moments, going up there once or twice a week to make that happen. So yeah, those are like my favorite moments.
Garnett, don't shout out radio stations that I don't work at anymore.
Well, listen, cut me off before I can finish it then. Tell me shut up, bro.
I was offended. But like, no, it's always those interviews for me. Because I remember like when we first started it, like I don't think I was that good at it. I really don't. And I feel like I always would go to Mina and like ask questions, and she would give pointers about what I could do differently, how to ask questions and stuff like that. And I still feel like now I don't necessarily go to be like, what can I do? But I'll like take notes about things that she does. And it's really helpful for me. And like the more and more we do them, the more I'm like, this makes sense for this. This makes sense for that. And like I've learned like the art of it. Like you've really taught like me a lot about that.
Aww.
Likewise.
I was going to say the interviews, and I can't think of one in particular. I mean, obviously, when we did the 100th episode live, that was really dope. Like just having people there, because normally we don't have people watching us as we're doing the podcast. That was really dope. But honestly, it's just being with you guys. Like when I have friends and everything, that's like, oh no, because Dex said this, or see, I was with Mina, and then they just like they feed off of us. It's just a good feeling. Like I love you guys. I love that we can talk about everything. Everybody has a different opinion. I sometimes already know what I think Dex is going to say, what I think Garnett's going to say, what I think Mina's going to say. But it's still it's just fun just to work with you guys and to grow with you guys. And I do thank Mina for the opportunity. For those that don't know, me and Mina started talking at a Sixers game about me wanting to talk about relationships to start a podcast. And she was like, girl, you didn't experience, you gotta come on my podcast first. And that's how it really happened, like at a Sixers game.
Yeah.
And this part too, though, like the fact that the podcast kind of grew and was like kind of almost recreated during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Like this format wasn't what we were doing before. And I don't know if the four of us have ever, outside of the 100th episode, I don't think the four of us have all ever been in the same room together.
Dinner. He was there at dinner.
We went to
but like doing the podcast. Every time we tried, somebody would have something.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
Well, I appreciate you guys. I'm just happy we made it to 200. I mean, a lot of people have podcasts, but they drop off or they don't make it that far. I mean, the pod has definitely evolved over years and months that I've been doing it. So I just really appreciate you guys. And, I wish we could be together, to do a live event. But the way the world is, I don't know, man. I went to Puerto Rico and they literally require vaccination cards to get in everywhere. Like you need your mask on, vaccination cards, like the way that Garnett would not be going to Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico is not for me.
So it's like, I don't know. I just feel uncomfortable packing everyone into a room. You know what I'm saying? And then especially like our 100th episode, we were live and it was so packed and hot in there. I feel like I would be mortified if we did the same thing.
That was in the summer though. That halfway don't count. That was summertime.
I know, but imagine happening now during COVID.
Yeah, but it's cooling down. It's like 59 degrees today. We be okay today.
But like Corona isn't cooling down.
Yeah, they don't make you hot. It just make you cough. They don't make you hot though.
Oh my God.
Oh gosh.
All right, so I wanted to keep today light. We just want to talk about really some scary stuff, Halloween stuff. I love Halloween. I remember last year we were like, we're gonna dress up next Halloween for the pod, and I'm glad that you guys could like make it happen. Even though it was very, very last minute. I forgot we even had that conversation until this weekend. And I was like, what? Halloween is on Sunday? First of all, Halloween snuck up on me. Yes, Dexter for the background.
Yes.
I need to do something.
Dexter, you're a teacher.
I know, but like the thing is, Halloween is my thing. I really get into this. So the fact that like I'm not dressed up, like next year I'm coming. I want to win. I want to win next year.
So I was just thinking about scary stuff. Like, has anything scary ever happened to you guys, or has anyone done anything scary to you? Like, talk about some times where you've actually been scared, and it could be like a serious story. Because I was thinking about some things, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to share that with the whole world. Some scary things that have happened to me, but like any scary actual stories or ghost encounters or anything like that, or maybe someone did something to scare you.
I'm positive that in college there was a ghost in my dorm room. Like, I'm not even joking about it. Like, it would only come during certain nights too. And it's not always because we were drunk, but like a lot of the times we would be drunk or whatever. And people would say like, oh, I hear something in that closet. You open the closet, there's nothing there. And it literally would happen every single like week or whatever. And like for the longest time, nobody would hear it. So it was only me. But like I'm telling you, there is a ghost on the campus of Lincoln University.
Wait, so how do you know it was a ghost?
Because when I opened the closet, nothing was there. So like something was in there.
Wait, so was this like an urban legend, or like
no,
did
it was
discover it on your own?
It's me. I'm telling you, it was a ghost in there. It really was a ghost on and then you would even feel like chills sometimes. Like it was just, I don't know. It was just a weird, odd situation. And truthfully, ghosts have followed me my entire life. Like when I used to live in the South, there used to be this thing. This is kind of eerie too, but there used to be this thing where like my grandma was in the picture and her picture fell and knocked another picture down. And the other person, this is after my grandma died, and the other person in that picture passed away like a year later after my grandma's picture fell. And like, I'm telling you, like, I believe in that kind of stuff. I do. I really believe in that stuff.
That's crazy. So you never went to see someone about that? I feel like I would go to because
my mom is Christian, like super Christian. So she feels like that's the devil's work. So you can't see nobody about it. Plus, I don't trust them either, because last year the psychic near my house, my apartment at the time, she had a Donald Trump thing in her in her lawn, and he lost. So y'all can't see that well.
Yo, you're stupid.
Yeah, I haven't been scared since like Child's Play, since like '94 and watching Chucky. I ain't afraid of too much.
Nothing? You never been followed by someone? A girl pulled up on you with a knife? Like you haven't been
No,
scared?
why would a woman pull up on me with
You
a
thought
knife?
you had an STD? Nothing? Like
I mean, when I did have one, I wasn't scared. It just wasn't.
You did have one what?
What?
Clean it up. Clean it up. Because she said something and then you responded to it. And I don't think you responded to what she was saying.
No, I heard her. I just said what I said. I'm gonna skip past it. That's what I said. I wasn't terrified. I'm clean. Yeah, move past it. Go ahead, Mina. What was you saying?
so you've never been scared ever.
I mean, like, what are we? So, like, the movies now, right? They don't like. It's really not scary. We've been through the worst stuff movie wise, like the stuff that's on TV. This stuff isn't scary right now. Like Key and Peele is writing our scary movies. Like I remember when it was Steven Spielberg. Like Steven Spielberg, he had it popping, like with Goosebumps and all of that stuff. Like, but right now,
it's R.L. Stein.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. Listen, whatever.
I get you. I get what you're saying, though.
Do you think we're not scared because we're older?
No.
Or is it really that the stuff isn't scary anymore?
Yeah, I just feel like we ran through the gauntlet. Like
okay, you talking about y'all. I be scared all the time. I just asked Mina if that thing on Netflix was scary, and I still ain't watching it, even though she told me it wasn't.
Like what?
I be scared all the time. I could watch a suspenseful movie and be in this house like, wait a minute, is that somebody coming right now? And is he gonna kidnap me and make a new basement and put me in the basement and nobody's gonna know and they're gonna think it's the water heater? I get scared like every day.
Same page, except like I don't be like scared, but like I do when I get to watch, like how Garnett is when you watch the scary movies, it doesn't do anything to me. But when I watch the thrillers, I do be like, oh my God, like that person can be on my balcony, like this could really be a problem for me or whatever. So anytime I watch something like that, I'll watch Doug or Hey Arnold afterwards to calm my nerves.
So a Halloween story. But my sister never really like celebrated Halloween like with her kids, just because she just felt like whatever, like not necessarily, she's not super Christian, but had these beliefs. But we did it when we were younger. So I took my niece one time and her friend in Roxborough, the Roxborough area of Philadelphia, and they really, really do Halloween. Like every neighbor does their house. They give you the full size Reese's and Kit Kats and Snickers. You don't even be getting the snack size joints. So we left this one house and they knew she was scared. Everybody was dressed up, like the whole family was into it. So they were messing with her a little bit. We leave the porch. I am not gonna lie to y'all. This is how much they planned it. Mm-mm. We were all the way at the end of this block. This house is on the other end of the block. All of a sudden I can hear, and I turn around and one of the like kids who was dressed up as a zombie character is running up to my niece with a fake knife. She ain't never want to go trick-or-treating again. That was it. She still to this day, she's like, nah, I'm good.
Ruined her whole experience.
You know what? I love scary stuff. I like everything scary I watch. I'm watching Rosemary's Baby right now on Tubi. Have you guys seen that?
Sounds scary, not watching it.
I have heard of it, but I've never checked
with
out.
Zoe Saldana.
Is it scary, Mina?
I mean, I just be watching a lot of devil stuff. I be watching like a lot of scary, stuff. I was watching A Quiet Place. Have you guys seen that on the plane?
I've seen that.
And I was like, and people were like, what is wrong with this girl? Why does she keep yelling? But I've never had like a ghost encounter. Like I have felt like someone's presence was there, but it didn't feel like scary. Like, oh, this is a ghost. It felt more so like comforting, like this person is with me. And it was when my aunt was passing away. I was holding her hand and I just kind of felt like something was there. I don't know what it was, but it just was like comforting. It wasn't like a scary thing, but I've never seen a ghost. I've never like encountered one, or, sometimes I get scared when I'm walking the dog and I feel like someone's following me. But in real life, I have been scared. Because I had a stalker once and this guy used to follow me everywhere. And when I was doing mornings, I was like telling like the people that, my bosses, that I have a stalker, and I just felt like people just didn't care, and like they weren't dealing with it. And it was like this guy was following me everywhere. And one day, I used to coach the basketball team, a dance team. I used to coach a dance team, and then I stopped doing it during the pandemic. And it was like he showed up at the school where we practice, and I was like, I'm pretty sure you're a felon. You know, like I asked him, I'm like, are you allowed to be around kids? Have you been to jail? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, you can't be here. So increasingly, I just started to get scared. Like, and every public appearance, every public I would go to, it's like he would be there. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, it just got scary. I felt at some point like maybe he might pop up at my house or something. And, like I got a big scary pit bull, but still like it was a really scary situation. And like, it'd be people like that like really don't know what the boundaries are. And I was just, like maybe this guy doesn't get it. Like I remember he wrote on the station vehicle in crayon and like, and he wrote, I love Mina in crayon.
Yeah, that is super scary.
And it's great. And like, when I tell people sometimes they laugh, they're like, what? Like it seems funny, but when it's about you and this person's like going everywhere and like, they're not understanding, like, no, don't come here. This is inappropriate. Like something's just not like sinking in. You know what I'm saying? Like that becomes really scary as a woman, and I even went to the cops. This is why I don't trust the Philadelphia police. I literally went to the cops. I went to 2 different precincts. They would not help me. It was a mess. They kept trying to tell me to go get a protection order. I'm like, how am I go get a protection order against my stalker? I don't know who he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what you talking about?
So, I was going to say, I've only had one experience that was super scary like that when I lived in New York. And I was young. I was 18. I didn't know I shouldn't tell people in New York certain stuff. And the train like got whatever. And the guy just happened to be talking to me on the train, like, well, what stop you getting off at? I was like, oh, I get off at Rego Park. And so he had already said to me, like, I get off at Jamaica. So Rego Park's before Jamaica. So he kept talking and I started noticing he was weird because he was suit, regular looking. I started noticing he was weird. And I'm like, you know what? Let me stop talking to him. So I go to get off my stop. And I was like, thought you was getting off at Jamaica. He was like, oh, I'm going to walk you home. I was like, you going to do what? So we're arguing when I get off. I'm like, no, I'm good. I think I checked my surroundings. I like, look, he looked like he went back down the subway steps. So I look a little bit, I was going back to my apartment to get my stuff to come back to Philly. Get to my apartment door, turn the key, and I'm in a basement apartment. He pushes past me in the apartment. Like, it was like, I just wanted to make sure you were safe. And it was like one of those moments where you are like, what am I going to do? And I just ran to the kitchen and got a knife. And I was like, you better get the blah, 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 blah. I will stab you. And he kept saying, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure you were safe. I was like, well, you about to not be safe. He finally gets out. The security in my building didn't do anything, but I guess they're used to seeing stuff like that because they were right there looking at us. So I leave. I have to get my suitcase because I'm trying to go back to Philly. I go all the way around the other way, trying to get to the subway, thinking he's going. I hear him when I'm getting on the train, like, Shana, because I told him my name. I love you. I ran down that subway so fast and jumped in that train. Oh. It was like never again, but I was really scared because, being young and I was 18, first year away from home, being in college. And then I'm like, now he knows where I live, but luckily he never showed back up.
He followed you home. Like, that is, wow.
Yeah.
People just don't understand boundaries.
I really wish I was that fine. Both of y'all must be that fine. I wish the woman.
You don't want to be stalked, and you don't want to be scared like that. That's not nothing you would want ever. You don't want no woman to be randomly showing up at your open houses unless she trying to buy a house and showing up at your door.
Right.
If you really thought I was dressed like this, though.
You'd be the one scaring people. Dressed like that. Out here running around scaring people. So you never had anything, Garnett? I find that hard to believe. Nothing has ever scared you.
Was, like I said, it dates back to like movies at certain times. Like we talking like Candyman. Like I've said Candyman in the mirror like multiple times now.
I still won't do that. To this
day, I don't care. At this moment, I don't care. But like growing up, yeah, that's a real life fear. Freaking, I got family members that scared me sometimes, but like as far as like in life or anything like that, nah, I mean you get spooked here and there, but it's not like out of the ordinary spook. Sometimes you don't see nobody next to you when you they may be right there, but it's like, oh snap, I didn't know you was there. Okay, you there. Everything's cool. It's not like it's like
last year during the pandemic, you wake up in the morning and you turn the TV on and Dr. Fauci's on there, like saying this stuff that he used to say about how we're going to be in the pandemic until 2025. Everybody, your kid's going to have to get shots or whatever. He scared the hell out of me for an entire year. So I don't see how he at least didn't scare you.
Listen, I felt at home, Dex. When all of that was going on, I felt more comfortable than ever. Like,
in the house, quarantine, you felt more comfortable than ever?
Yeah, we was all right. We was good. We was gonna be okay.
Well, of course he was. He was having house parties. Like, what do you mean?
Kissing babies.
Talk to him, Dex.
These are the super spreaders.
Ain't nothing changed but the name on the mail. That's it.
Fair enough.
That's actually a really good point. I was really scared. I mean, we talk about Halloween and witches and ghosts, but that was real life scary, like real life scary, like the world changing. I was like you, Garnett, like the first 3 months, I was cool. I was in here Betty Crockering it up. Y'all remember? I made carrot cake from scratch, frosting from scratch. I was in here being Mina SayWhat. Do you remember that hashtag? But it was like, I think it took it up a notch because I was by myself, literally. I think if I was with somebody, I would have been fine past the 3 months, but I think something happened at around that 3 month mark where I kind of lost it a little bit. And this is when they started saying like, oh, well, this is going into the next year. Yes. And, like, oh, this is going to be for one more year. And I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be getting no D for a year?
You know what?
He's hilarious.
I'm in this house by myself for 3 months with no one.
Listen,
not even my mother.
Because the first day of quarantine, I made sure I had to handle that. Like, what's not going to happen is I'm not going to be in this house and I'm just going to be, yeah.
You know what? I have to be honest. I bought some things I've never bought before in my life, like to try to pass the time. I had to play around a lot, So we have a guest joining us. So, and our guest came ready for Halloween, dressed up.
Yeah.
Greg.
Yeah, we here.
Welcome to the Mina's House podcast, Craig. Nice to see you. What is this? What mask is this?
Congratulations on your 200.
Thank you. These are my co-hosts. You guys don't know each other. Introduce each other.
I'm Shana B.
Shana, how you doing? This is Craig. How you doing?
He had to take off his mask.
Well, I'm really Patra right now. I'm the queen of the pack.
You're Patra? Okay, I see it.
Craig, what's good, baby?
Everything's good. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing all right. I'm Garnett.
I see.
Chips, baby.
AKA the crackhead from Dave Chappelle.
Right, for the Dave Chappelle, yeah.
Dexter, real boring over here. Nice to meet you.
I see. Me too. Luckily, I had this, so I was able to throw it on real quick. Yeah.
Dexter's a teacher.
Okay.
In real life. So, Craig, thank you for joining the podcast, especially our 200th episode. I literally hit up like all friends. I consider you a friend. You're super close to my girl Pebbles, who's been on the podcast as well. Definitely. So Andrea as well, who's a real, my real friend. So, yeah, I mean, I just want to welcome you. Craig is actually DMX's manager. So he's like managing his estate and everything going on. And, I know things are kind of crazy for you right now. So I just want to thank you for making time right now to join the podcast, especially on this 200th episode. It's kind of weird because we can't really do nothing because of the pandemic, but it's nice to be able to celebrate with some friends,
Right. No, I definitely appreciate you guys. I appreciate all the love always. I know you've been in the industry for years and have been a supporter of X. And so, we just wanted to return the love and definitely shout out to his babies and especially the little twins, and yeah, it's a little bit of a mess, but I'm not in charge. They the courts are handling it and doing what they need to do. I'm just doing what I can on the sidelines, trying to make sure that the kids and moms are okay and including in different things that, that we're involved with.
It's good to hear that. It's really good to hear that, like that's happening, because it's like nobody talks about that anymore, and I'm really happy to hear that.
Nah, the kids are doing well, and it's great. It's the blessing. The one blessing that has come from all of this is seeing them bond. Like most of them didn't know one another, And so we introduced everyone to one another, and on their own, they've kept in contact, from some of the mothers to the children, definitely, especially those that are old enough, reaching out to one another. They have group texts, they do their FaceTimes, all of that. They've gone to one another because they're in different states. They've gone and visited one another for birthdays already. Like, this is what he wanted, because we were actually going to do that last summer. We were supposed to start a reality show, a fatherhood show.
Oh.
And this was the purpose, is that he was like, yeah, I want to reestablish and make my bond stronger. He said, but even more important than that is, when I'm gone, I want them to know they're connected through me, through one another. And so to see them doing this on their own is a blessing.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's amazing. I mean, that's just God talking right there. At the end of the day, he still got his message across. He still did what he was able to do, even though he wasn't here physically. So the fact that, the family was able to take heed of that and like make that happen, that is some powerful stuff. That's some powerful.
No, it's definitely a blessing. Definitely a blessing.
Craig, how do you keep his memory alive? Because I can imagine, I mean, you were actually his friend. You've been his manager for how many years? You've been his manager for a long time, right?
Well, no, what it is I co-managed him with Steve Rifkin. For the last few years. I really came back to do his music. He asked me to come back and executive produce his music. Now, I've known him for, a little over 25 years, because I was an A&R at Rough Riders back in the day. From 97 to 2006, I left Rough Riders. And so, yeah, we were definitely friends and close, more of like a confidant. Like, I'm not a yes man. So someone who, just wanted to see him, especially in the later years of his life, to live the life he deserved, because he's given so much to so many people, and often at his own expense, And so when I came back the last few years, it was less for me. He brought me back but it was less about music and more about getting him to live the life that he deserved to live. So he was doing a lot of changes. He was doing a lot of introspection. He was making, taking these small steps, reaching out to his children, to the mothers, encouraging them, thanking them for doing such a wonderful job, vowing that he was going to be more involved, in the future, especially starting with this fatherhood show. But he really, as far as the industry, he was tired of it.
Yeah.
He wanted to retire. He wanted his kids around him. He wanted to have his old cars and start fixing them up again, and then he had a switch from pit bulls. He wanted to breed Presa Canarios.
Oh.
Yeah. So like, even when we were just in Atlanta before we came back to New York, we visited a breeder, and he picked out one. He had planned on moving to the Atlanta area.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah, and kind of settling down. And so that's when, more so, we were kind of preparing him for life, his retirement. And so what we were focusing on is his brand instead, because I was like, you know what? Everybody you've had managing you, or that's been in your business life, has always focused just on you rhyming, you performing, you acting, and nobody really focused on your brand. And so that's why we started shifting more to, like the cologne line, doing licensing deals, the bump box, even though it ended up being a tribute. That's not what it wasn't. It was already in the works.
Wow.
He loved bump boxes. We did this whole last album on bump box. Like, he was, we were listening to the instrumentals, and he was writing with the bump box. And so he just, for the Aaliyah one, he did a voiceover for it. And then they were supposed to release his. And then, the untimely death. So it ended up being a tribute.
So that's interesting, because I saw that I was going to ask that, and I thought it was a tribute. And I thought the same thing for the fragrance, because I saw there was a pop-up shop about like a week or two ago. So right. So how did that work with him picking his scent? Did he get to pick his scent and those type of things, with working with the fragrance?
Yeah, we were out in LA finishing up the album, and he and his road manager Jungle happened to be at this hotel, and they bumped into Rel, the owner of Isidore. And it was just, he kind of, for some reason, he latched onto him. So I'm at the Airbnb, they bring him back, where discussion starts. It's a young brother in his 30s. He has his own, fragrance line, his own, he's trying to get it off the ground. And so we just connected with him and said, hey, let's do it. you know. And he said he would do the DMX collection, and so we worked out a deal with him, and it was launched last Christmas,
Oh,
you
wow.
know, and that was only the testers. And I was like, listen, we got to do the big bottles. And so that's when we did the commemorative bottles with his face on it. It was supposed to be a collector's piece. And all that happened though before he passed away.
Right.
So from this cologne to bump box, this was something that was already in the works. These were things that he understood he needed to do. That we don't, you know, we were looking at a company that was going to manufacture almost like Timberland boots, but they were going to be his brand, DMX. So we had started looking into that. There were so many things we were doing because I told him we have to focus on things where we don't need you for.
Right.
You know, you don't have to show up for, you don't have to perform.
Yeah.
You know, that you can be in your bed making money.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the way we were transitioning him, because at this point, you know, over the last few years, he was, you know, he made money when he performed, when he did an album. And so I said, no, we have to switch that up.
The boots are a genius idea, because when I think of DMX, I think of the voice and the dogs, but I definitely think of boots too.
Tim's, right?
And the wife beater.
You know what?
Yeah, that's all he wore. That man would not put on a pair of sneakers. He would not. All he wore was Tim's. It didn't matter what it was. He wore Tim's.
Craig, so is the show happening? What's going on with? Is it done? The show? Is that gonna happen?
Well, what it is we're dealing, because we were actually in a production deal, and then I got us released from that because we weren't happy with the direction that they started going with it. And so we wanted to reformat it, because one thing that was important for us, that this was about healing, you know, and we wanted them treated with dignity. It wasn't going to be
Not
any
messy.
ratchet,
Right.
not
Not
messy,
hip-hop DMX
not
edition.
ratchet, right. We're not pitting mothers against one another and having them fight. Like, we weren't doing that, you know? And so that's why we actually got released from the last deal, because we took a stand and we're like, no, this was our idea. We brought it to you, and now you're trying to hijack it. And we're not doing that. This is a Black father, Black mothers, Black children, and you're going to treat them with dignity. You know, we're not doing that. And so we took a stand, you know, to their credit. They gave us a release. And we were in the process of working out another deal. And then he passed away.
Wow.
Yeah. So yes, we are still looking into that, just as a part of, because for me, everything is about his legacy. You know, the estate is really now temporarily. The administrator went to his 3 oldest sons with Tashira.
I saw that the
Yeah.
ex-wife. Yeah,
Yep.
not the fiance. It went to the ex-wife.
Right, in New
But
York
she has
State.
the most kids. That's what it is. It's about the fact that she has the 3 eldest kids, right?
Yeah, she has the 3. There's 2 others that are over 18, because in New York State law, it's the children over 18 that have a voice. When there's no wife, it's all about the children, and it's those that are over 18 have a voice. So the 3 sons with Tashira are temporary administrators. He has 2 other daughters that have also applied. And then, as you know, you saw them report, there's another daughter that came forward recently.
Really?
Yeah.
A new one?
Yes, one that I wasn't unaware of, but she you know, reached out to me. I've spoken with her, pointed her to the right people that she should speak to, as far as attorneys and his old business manager, things like that. So, you know, the courts will have to handle that. But yeah, she's older, in her late 20s.
Okay.
So how do you handle something like that? Is there DNA? How do you I don't even know how you would deal with that.
Well, legally, there's a whole bunch of things I know as far as this. So that's right now dealing with the estate and the court. They have to figure all that out. Partly it could be DNA. I know legally in New York, just from what some of them have shared with me, it's also, did he claim them as his children? Did he support them? So there's different, you know, ways of establishing paternity and a connection. Yeah.
So what would that bring that number to? That would
be
15. 15?
Yeah, there were 14 that I knew of, and then this latest one, Raven, came forward. She would make 15.
15.
Yeah.
So how do you move forward with your life and your career, Craig? Because you've been managing him. Are you looking to manage other people, or is it about keeping his legacy alive? Like, what's your game plan?
It's really about his legacy. And like I said, there's so many things that I don't want to even talk about yet that we had planned already in the works. And so we're moving forward on those projects that, animated shows, movies, things like that we already, because we were reestablishing Bloodline Films and Bloodline Productions.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a group of us, basically him, myself, and his road manager, Jungle. And we were just putting our brains together and doing and laying out the foundation for like the next 3 to 5 years, so that he could be happily retired, independent, home collecting money. All I needed to do is executive produced by Earl DMX Simmons, but I don't need you to do anything.
Yeah.
Sort of like what 50 of them are doing.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of things that I don't even want to put out there yet, until it happens, and then we can talk about it. But there's so many things we have from different series, centered around New York, Yonkers, similar to Snowfall, similar to Power, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then some other cultural type movie ideas that we had. So that's what it is. So I'm moving forward on that to continue and build upon his legacy, and all the time when we secure these deals to make sure that his children / estate are written into the actual contracts, so that they benefit.
So you guys have the X Has a Heart Foundation. Is that being run by the children? Is that more managed, daily by you, or is it collaborative with everybody involved?
X Has a Heart Foundation is something that we started, the small group that were around him. We did make every child and mother aware of it. And we're in the planning stages because we want to make sure whatever we do is done properly. And there's 2 goals to it. One is the community work. The community work is going to be focused around School Street. So we're going to, where he was born and raised. So what we're going to do is focus on that community and the children in that community, and providing safety net for them, mental health support, financial literacy, things like that. And then the second prong, or the second mission of it, is also to provide additional assistance to his children. Whether it be tuition assistance, rent assistance, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all in the forming stages right now. Like, we actually have it's now officially a 501c3. We're doing the mission, vision, and value statement, getting charters, the board of advisors, all that together right now.
Awesome.
As a fan, I think like this conversation with you is the first time that I felt some type of like closure from the situation. Like, I've never like really truly felt it. And like listening to you like talk right now, like I feel it. Like it's because, you know what I mean? Like, you've done like a really, really great job. I think you should be like really proud of yourself. And if you haven't found closure like yourself, like I hope you do, because you're doing like amazing work. You really are.
No, I appreciate that. It's still, he's gone, but then sometimes it's like,
yeah,
you wake up and you're like, damn, I still can't believe it.
Yeah.
And so the only, the closure that I get is continuing the mission, and one eye on the mission and the other eye is on his making sure that every single thing we do benefits the children in some way. The goal is to make sure they live better now than his death than they did even when he was alive, and so that's our mission. It's not easy, because you do have whatever's going on with the estate. We don't have carte blanche with his likeness, his image, what have you. That's going to fall on the estate. And so it's like, we're trying to do the things outside of the estate that we do have control over.
Yeah.
Or the things where we own the intellectual property, where we can still move forward, honor him, his legacy. In one way is definitely really latching on to the notion of making it more popular in our community to deal with mental health. Because when it comes to him, everybody always likes to talk about drugs. But if you knew him, you would know that more profound in his life were the traumas and struggles and trials and tribulations he had because of childhood trauma.
Yes.
And things that happened to him. And his mental health was more important and often wasn't really treated.
Yeah.
You know, we would encourage him, you know, you got to do counseling. You got to find somebody who you can trust and confide in. And, you know, often that was us, but we're not professionals.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
we're not
Yeah, a
professionals.
lot of people don't know his background and, you know, how he was in foster homes and,
right.
you know, he was abused. And, you know, I mean, that story about his mentor who gave him the drugs, that it broke my heart. So I think that's a really good point. A lot of the times we just focus on the symptoms, you know, but not on the, you know, the root of the issue, which is he was a troubled person. And I think that's why a lot of people gravitated towards him. I mean, that's why I gravitated towards him. The pain in his music, I could feel that pain. I mean, even if you weren't in an abusive situation, maybe you know, you can identify with the poverty aspects of just not having anything, of being hopeful and being in an environment where there's not a lot of hope. Those are the things that I feel like he really connected with people about. And, you know, that's what I think his legacy is going to be ultimately.
Right. There wasn't one day. I mean, from back in the day up until now, when I came back, there wasn't one day we were in public that at least one person didn't come up to him and say, you saved my life. Your music saved my life. Your music got me through some of the most difficult periods in my life. Not one day can I remember that at least one person didn't come up and say something like that to him, you know, and if you want to understand him more, like he said one day, he said, now you would think that when people come up, that would be a blessing. That would make you feel like, damn, I helped somebody.
Yeah.
But people, he said, it's going to be long after I'm gone that people will really, before they really understand what I was saying, even in my rhymes. He was like, what pained him about that is it was a blessing to him. He was glad he could help other people. But what pained him is, how can I have this effect on so many people and I'm having a problem helping myself?
Right.
Yep. How can a woman come up to me and say I was suicidal? It was a woman in her probably late 20s. She came up with tears in her eyes. I just want to thank you. I was suicidal. My daughter has a mother because of you. You know, there was a woman, there's a guy, he was a street sweeper. He was sweeping the streets. We crossing the street. He said, I don't mean to bother you. I just got to tell you, I would have lost my mind. I just came home from a 15-year bid a few years ago. I would have never made it if it wasn't for you. You know what I'm saying? We were on Atlantic City on the boardwalk, and this older European lady, she had an accent. She probably was in her 60s. And she came up, hey, can I get a picture? He was like, yeah, no problem. Took the picture. We thought nothing of it. She walked away. Like 15, 20, 30 seconds later, all of a sudden, this same woman is coming back to us, and her face is beat red. She's bawling, tears are coming down her eye. And we're like, hey, what's going on? Is everything okay? And she explained to us, she said, I have a son who's mentally challenged. And for about the last 2 weeks, he's been somewhat unresponsive. We bathe him, we get him dressed, we sit him in his chair, and he just sits there rocking. He just sits there. So she FaceTimed him and said, guess who I just met? DMX. And he lost his mind. So when she turned the phone to him, he's like, oh, he was like so excited and happy. And she was just so, because he had been unresponsive. Like they're talking to him, he's not responding. And he looked up and he just started crying right there on the ball. And was like, God, why me? Why me? But then he spoke with the young man quickly and said, can I pray with him? And then they prayed together. And the woman was so happy she walked away. But like he had a profound effect on people's lives that he couldn't even completely understand. He knew he was touched by God. He knew he was blessed. But what he couldn't figure out is, how could I have in my words or my music or even my life have this profound effect on people? And here I am still trying to fix myself.
Shoot. I mean, I guess you almost answered the question I have. I got a couple questions. One of them is going to lead back to the Rough Riders in general, right? But I just wanted to, ask you just about the star power. You kind of spoke on it just about every day. It wasn't one day that somebody came up, but like he got the legendary voice, the growl, the bark.
Right.
You
Right.
know, and you see he's like, I can't bark like that. But like, you're dealing with somebody that you're around every day. And I guess at the beginning of it, did you really like notice the separation between the different type of star power, just like how much of a superhero he actually was in the flesh?
I mean, I knew it even back from like when his first album came out, because believe it or not, it's something Nas. There's an interview I see that they put up recently about Nas talking about 1,000 rappers didn't have the love that he had, and it was the truth. I saw it from way back then. I don't care. You can name name whoever you want. Mm-hmm. When we would walk into a room, you could even see it in there, or even at a performance. You would watch his peers. You would watch other icons look at him in amazement, because they long to have the real, true hood love that he received from people. And there was always something about him because he was down to earth. So he just separated. People don't love him because of a song.
Right.
People love other artists because they got a hot record. They got a hot song. People love X. He's a rock star. They loved Earl Simmons because he was transparent. He shared his life with them. Yet, we didn't need security. We would walk all over the place. Didn't matter. Every hood we went to, we didn't have security. We were our own security, and people didn't even test us or try. We have the stories from way back in the day, like when we were in Boston, and that was something separate. That was something different in Miami. But him as an artist, as a human being, as a person, we were in Nashville, we were in Atlanta, we were in Miami, we were just in LA, we went to the jungle and all that out. Like we go everywhere, Blood, Crip, it didn't matter, and it's because he was genuine. He spoke to the people. He never put on airs. He never made them feel like he was less than. Mm-hmm. He always took his time to do whatever. He would take pictures. He talked with them. He never turned people down, and people recognize that genuineness about him. That's why I know he's the people's champ, because it's because of who he was as a human being, as a person. He touched people's lives. I could tell you a story about, there's a guy, if you look on social media, it's called Walking Legend. And we're going to do, in the documentary we're going to interview him. But this man was in a serious car accident and was told by every doctor, you will never walk again. And he met X one time at a concert, happened to get his attention. They had the metal rails there and happened to get his attention. X came right over to him, started talking to him. He shared with him, I was in a bad accident. The doctor said I'll never walk again. He said what X said to him was, the doctors are human beings. They're not God. I'm telling you, you're going to walk again. The man is walking today.
Wow.
The man is walking.
That's incredible.
Because it's just like, that's the energy and the spirit and the motivation he gave to other people. It's like he took all the hurt, all the pain in his life, and he made sure that he comforted others, even when he himself wasn't comforted.
Right.
You know what, though? I feel like, back to the words that you said before, where people are not going to notice his impact until he's gone. And he said that himself. You said, it was crazy when he passed away. I'm bawling, crying, and it's like, it was like this uncontrollable, like, what? And it was weird because I think we all felt that way, right? This is not something just exclusive to me. I think there's so many people that I know that it's like, why am I crying like this? And I'll never forget when Michael Jackson died and my mother bawled out crying, and I was a little girl, and I'm like, why are you crying over this man you don't know, But it's crazy now that we're adults and I've experienced that. I mean, it happened to me with Kobe Bryant. It was like this uncontrollable, like I can't even reel it in. And then almost like a couple of months later, almost like I couldn't even take it. It was DMX. And it was just really surprising to know that he had that impact on not just myself, just from the music, but even people on this podcast or everyday people, where we literally were all crying together and we're like, we didn't even know that he had this kind of effect on our lives until we heard what happened.
Yeah. And my DMs were filled and stories that were, for me, it was a blessing, of of all just different, like you said, people just saying what he got them through, like my DMs were filled with that, and people that have now, it's almost like it's a brotherhood and a sisterhood where they're just so supportive and they've latched on and follow all of his children and are being as supportive as they come. I know people have purchased his shirts and sent them to his children, different things like that. Like just the way, and think about it. He hadn't had a hit in 17 years.
Right.
So this love wasn't from somebody who was current,
Right.
who was on top of the world, who had the biggest hits, was all over radio. His last hit was from Grand Champ 2003. And so it was him. Even like when we went, I keep telling people, when we went and did the versus battle against Snoop, I had to tell him, I said, do you realize that no matter what, he wanted to do it with Hov, of course. But I said, do you realize that whoever you go against, you're battling with only 5 albums?
Right.
Everybody else is doing 12, 13. They've had 12, 13, 14 albums, all these features and side artist appearances. You standing toe to toe with these artists only off of 5 albums, really. From 97 to 2003. 98 to 2003. Whereas these other artists over these last several years, this last decade, they've been on other hit records or they put out multiple albums over the same span. And so this man has gotten love because of who he is and because of the pain and his transparency and openness with his struggles in life. And so people can identify with that. People can it's just like when we came in the game, everybody was popping bottles, Cristal, people getting robbed for their clothes, jackets, this, that. We came out with just Tim's, jeans, and a wife beater or a white tee. People could relate to that. Yeah. And that's why even the Rough Rider movement was so big, because it was relatable. More people can relate to that than being on yachts popping bottles.
Right. I've had pit bulls my whole life.
Right.
DMX. I got a pit bull right here. I don't know if y'all heard somebody choking in the background. That was my pit bull. I don't know. My dog knew we were talking about DMX. My dog was in the background like.
Speaking about Rough Riders a little bit, because that's the one thing that I know, I can't say it wasn't a game before it, and I don't think it's in the game now, just as far as how big Rough Riders actually is. It's not just people that were rapping. It was people behind the scenes that it was actually a bike group. You talk hundreds of people that support this one movement. So Craig, I know you got hella crazy stories about Rough Riders. I know you do. You can't hide behind that.
It was a movement. And the love, like I said, the love was different. I remember going, whether it was Memorial Weekend, Cancun or Miami, and literally Bad Boy, all these other labels down there, Rockefeller, and with their shirts, because when you go, you bring all your merchandise and all that and apparel. And when we would walk on the strip, as God is my witness, literally you would see it on the ground. People would drop it, and they wanted the R shirts. They wanted the, we had the baby tees, we had the thongs. People were taking we used to tell them, yo, you want this? You got to put it on right.
Do you have a Rough Riders thong right now? Because I will put it on. I won't show you, but I'll tell you I got it on.
No, I don't have one, but we had them back in the day, and they used to put them on right in the street. We were like, nah, you got to put it on right now. Yeah.
Yo, that's crazy.
Yeah. But like I said, it's the same impact. Like people, every artist, especially when it comes to rap, every label wants to be hood. They want to be street. And they try so hard and go to such great lengths to be that, portray that. We just did it because it was genuine. Like it from the artist, think about it. Not just X, think about Kiss, Styles, Chic. Everybody's down to earth. Eve, Drag. Everybody is who they are, and they all have a story, but they're all down to earth. They never let celebrity go to their heads, And so it was easy for us. It wasn't even something that it just came natural. And so just like with X, that love, just that regular hood love, it just came naturally, And so, no matter what city we went to, and you have 200 to 500 bikers just show up.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? All wearing our vests, you know? It's crazy, you know? And then it was, so, you know, you're always going to be tested, but it was solidified because a couple of incidents we had when business was handled, and we never went around starting trouble. It would be you're in someone else's tent. Now they want to come and prove something.
Mhm.
And so when we handled our business after that, no issues. People said, oh, they not the regular artists. They don't just talk it. They live it. And so we never had issues after that. You know, the Boston incident and the one in Miami, that was it. That was way back in like 99, I think it was 2000. And once that happened, it was over. When they say, oh no, they for real.
Right.
And that was it. And it was like,
The
nah, they
whole
don't
clip.
just talk it.
Even the locks, everything that
Yeah.
sprung from that, like
Yeah.
Swiss.
Because I can tell you stories
Rough
of all
Riders.
these rappers. I could, but I won't. I can tell you all these stories because these people had to go and fly into the city, go to the venue, like whatever award show it was, Source Awards back then. They had to fly to the hotel, to the airport, straight to the hotel, to the venue, back to their hotel, back to the airport. They couldn't do what we did. People getting robbed I'm telling you, artists were getting back then in Cali especially. Those artists were getting robbed. You name them.
Wow.
Not us. Matter of fact, they'd call us to be like, yo, I just got, all right, we knew who to call, help them get some of their stuff back.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now they be wearing fake chains, Craig. So
They wearing fake.
you ain't gotta worry about that no more, Craig.
I was wondering why in that show in the city here in New York, how they always testing every time the artists come up. Now I see they testing them to see if it's real. I was wondering why, because they all wearing fakes. Okay.
Craig, thank you so much for joining us for a 200th episode.
Man, congratulations to you guys for making 200. Like that's a major feat.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for dressing up.
I know. I got a little hot. I had to take it off.
You know what I was gonna say?
Here.
You know you don't gotta keep the mask on, Craig.
I was sweating. I was like trying to talk, and then I'm like,
and then I seen it start to fog up. And I was like, is he gonna take it off? He's really committed to his outfit.
I said, it's getting hot. I gotta take it off.
I did fog up, man. I thought I was tripping for a second. I thought it was like that.
Is that part of the costume?
Nah, this is just something I ordered. I liked it. I loved it. So I said, I got it. You know, when you're riding four-wheelers or whatever. So no bugs and all. Yeah.
I like it. Well, thank you for joining us, Craig. We appreciate
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for honoring his legacy and, you know, getting the word out, talking about it a little bit. Cause you know, his physical, he's gone, but his spirit's still here.
For sure.
You know, his spirit is still here, you know, in each of us, cause he touched all of us in different ways, you know, whether it was through his music, whether it was personal one-on-one interaction, whether it was an interview, whether it was a prayer, you know, and look out for that gospel album soon too. We're working on that right now.
Really?
Okay.
Powerful.
All right, get Kanye on it. Get the gospel choir on it.
Powerful. When I tell you powerful, powerful.
And the last other thing, since you're putting out new music, I think that you should definitely release that audio from the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeers as a holiday song. I think it'll kill more Harry's right. It's got to be released.
One of his old managers, Pat, he actually did that with him. So I know Pat has that, and I know he was speaking about releasing that for Christmas again. Yeah.
Who's working on the gospel album with you? Because you're responsible for the music.
It's actually a gentleman out of California who went back in, I think it was like 2011, 12, when he was signed to that independent label. The label went bankrupt, and this gentleman actually purchased their entire catalog. Oh. In it was this. So he started searching who was close to X, and he started reaching out. Once he passed away, he started reaching out through third parties saying, hey, can you connect me with someone? And so they got in touch with me. And we're actually pulling in, you know, the original producers, PK, Divine Bars, who was with him for the last probably good 10 years. PK will probably reach out to Dame Grease, because, you know, it's the vocals are incredible, but some of the music has to just be touched up and updated. And this is more, the other album had a whole bunch of features. This last album that was released, this one is more typical X album. You're going to hear his voice, and it's very inspiring music and motivational music. And I'm looking forward to the world hearing it.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
I'm really looking forward to the world hearing this.
Imagine if he wins a Grammy posthumously for it.
It's a special project. It's a special project. I want to reach out to Leandria. She sang at his funeral. She was real close to us. Leandria Johnson, the gospel singer. Definitely want to include her because she was real close with him. So that's it. This one, we want to make sure it's people that were really in tune with him and, as a human being, with Earl Simmons.
Yeah.
So not Kanye.
No, Kanye. Let me tell you something about Kanye. I got so much respect for Kanye. I don't know if people are aware of it, but Kanye put up almost $1 million of his own money for that memorial service.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Kanye did that. Off rip, just did it. That's the love he had for X. So I don't care. Kanye is good for whatever. I don't care what he says, what stances he takes. He showed me his heart.
Yeah.
To me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kanye will be on the album then.
We'll reach out to him, definitely. Yeah. And see if he's available. Yeah.
Kanye's gonna make time for that. Okay.
Yeah, he got to. Yeah. That'll be special. Him and his choir. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be super amazing. And they sang at the memorial service too, the choir.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that was the other thing I respected. When he did what he did, he said, I don't want it advertised. Even, even in leading up to the service, I don't want it on the Barclays Center billboard. And even when he was there, he didn't take his mask off the whole time. He was just there to literally, out of true love, show his respect.
Yeah.
And give him the proper send off. So, it wasn't all flash, other people jumped in front of the cameras. Other people had all this, all this to say, that to say, made it a spectacle. He literally, I got a lot of respect for him as a human being. Forget artist, forget as a human being because of what he did and how he did it. More importantly, how he did it. No
with
fanfare.
And respect.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And honor.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, Craig, thank you so much for telling us. We'll have you back on so you can give us more information because we need everything. We need all the savings. Okay.
Yes. We will get it. We will get it as soon as we get this album rolling. We're going to start probably in the next week or so. And once we start, we'll definitely let you know.
All right. Thank you, Craig.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
How awesome was that?
That was great.
It was really good.
So now, I guess for like 300, right? We can revisit. What was your favorite moment?
Same page.
Wow. Now that I had a lot of reflecting just like with myself and like the things that I had to overcome and some of the stuff he was just saying, about X, but just about life in general sometimes that you don't even understand like how far you have come and, to hear him say that, like, how can I have such a profound effect on other people, but that same effect can't like go to me is like, that's such a powerful thing. And it just lets you know how human he was as well to be that aware and understand that it's going to take more than just, the people being able to tell me, how great I am and how much, I helped them out. It really takes something else on the inside to like get you to kind of like where you need to be and, to let you know that you on another mission. You can help somebody on their mission, but that you're just personally on another mission. So that was fantastic.
Were you guys getting emotional? I felt like I was starting to bubble up a little bit, and I'm like, why is this happening? I don't want to cry on the podcast.
It felt like very even, like it just felt like good. It felt really good. But just real quick, just to Garnett, I love that you said like, you talked about things that you have gone through while you're dressed as a crackhead. Like, it's really hard.
Hey, shut up, Dex. Damn.
I'm looking at the lips the whole time.
Listen,
The powder is settling on his lip.
going through some rough times, baby.
Well, my goal for this was, because it is an anniversary episode, I kind of wanted to hone in on legacy, you know, and I started to think about people that I know that have legacy and have longevity, and Craig came to mind with DMX and kind of his legacy and longevity that they've had and how he's affected people. Obviously Neef came to mind from Chris and Neef, and I thought it would be cool, but I told Neef the wrong time by mistake. I'm sorry, Neef. I was telling him, I'm like, I just came from vacation. I'm getting my times wrong. Neef was like, where you at? You know, and I'm like, ooh, I told you the wrong time, but Freeway's daughter passed away from cancer. She was 21, and it's been a long battle. And today was actually the funeral. Okay. So, you know, Neef and Freeway are super close. Mm-hmm. So, you know, obviously he's dealing with stuff like that, which makes me feel terrible because I messed up on the time, and he has such a busy day, you know, with what's going on. And I'm over here, like, he still tried to make time for the podcast, and I messed up the times because I'm still in Puerto Rico mentally. but that's what I really wanted for this podcast, kind of like just longevity. And Neef was a part of our 100th celebration. So I thought it would be cool to talk to him, but we'll have him on in future podcasts. I wanted to talk to him about, you know, the state property versus, right? And then, you know, they went on that tour with the Locks and Dipset. So, you know, and then I think some of the dates got canceled because of COVID, but I just kind of want to like touch base with him to see what's going on with that. But yeah, that was kind of my goal for this podcast, to just kind of, you know, hone in on people who have had longevity and, you know, have that legacy. So yeah, guys, thank you for hanging out and being here and supporting us all these episodes. Thank you guys, you know, for dressing up. I was like, we gonna dress up, y'all. Even Craig came with a mask. Word. Yeah, and thank you to Craig for joining us. You know, I definitely appreciate him. So we'll have him back on as well to let us know what's going on. So thank you guys for listening and watching. We have a Patreon account. So if you want to donate to the podcast, please do so. You can get all that you know, all that information, and $5. Crackhead Garnett, Crackhead G, you gonna give us your $5, okay, with the white stuff on it. So you could donate to our Patreon account. You know, just go to my website, MinaSayWhat.com, or the podcast website, Mina SayWhat. Mina's House Podcast. Just Google it, and the Patreon account will come up. So, all right. Signing off the 200th episode of the Mina's House Podcast. I'm Lola Bunny, aka Mina SayWhat.
I'm Patra, Queen of the Pack, aka Shana B.
Tyrone Biggums, baby, aka Garnett Briscoe.
Dex Stuckey.
The teacher.
aka Dex Stuckey.
The teacher. All right, guys. Talk to you.